In this section we're going to be working on the initial game loop that's going to allow us to at least put together a playable part of the game with clear objectives, and we're going to be getting the enemies to start chasing our player, and we're going to work in some kind of stealth mechanics. This is going to lead us nicely into the next section, which is the enemy combat, okay, and the attacking and that kind of thing. Now I've given you some resources in this section, so there's animations and a PDF game loop file. So let's just take a look at that, and obviously you can open this on your computer and take a look as well. So this is a flowchart that shows the different ways in which you can actually go through this game. In any good game there should be multiple choices to what the player can do, okay, and you really want to map those out before you start developing your game. So it will actually start with an animated cutscene. Now we're not actually going to make the animated cutscene. If you are interested in doing that, I have another tutorial called 3D animation using Unity Timeline, and I show you how to make an animation in Unity. So if you are interested in that, check out that course. This animated cutscene would start with you at sea. You're on your boat, okay, and you're there with your girlfriend. And then these maniacs arrive on their boat, and they board your boat, beat you up and throw you overboard, so you're in the ocean, and then they steal your boat and kidnap your girlfriend, okay. It kind of fades out to black, and that's where we start the game, okay. As a player, you've managed to make it onto this island, but you've been swimming for like 2 days, all right. You've not eaten, and you're really weak. So you start with your health at just 30%, and you've got no weapons, and you manage to find a torch, okay, or a flashlight rather, so that you can illuminate things. Now you've got two options. You can either go in the left-hand option, whereby you can actually explore your surroundings. There's a few huts to your left. If you manage to do that, you find some food, so you replenish your health, and you manage to find a baseball bat. The only weapon in the game that I'm planning on having that you can pick up. All the other weapons belong to the enemies, so unless you actually attack and kill the enemies, you can't pick up their weapons. And then you can then head into the main area with your weapon. Okay, the other option is simply just to go straight into the main area, but you don't have a weapon, okay, and then you basically avoid the enemies. But if you're attacked by an enemy, you will die. Now the main objective for the game is to actually find your girlfriend who's been locked away in this room somewhere on the island. So now you have to search the island looking for her, and you have the option. So if you do have your main weapon, you could either decide to get retribution, go around, attack the enemies, maybe sort of like Punisher style, delivering justice, and each enemy that you kill, obviously you can take their weapons. So now you have a full range of weapons, each more powerful than the last. Or you could choose to use stealth and avoid the enemies and just focus on this main objective. Depending on what you do, even if you manage to avoid getting into conflict or combat with any of the enemies, you're going to be forced to at this point, because this room is locked and you need a key. And it's one of the powerful enemies that actually has the key. So you need to take this enemy on. Now if you've managed to get the gun from one of the other enemies, then you can use that gun to kill the powerful enemy. Makes it a little bit easier, as long as you haven't wasted your bullets. So as long as you haven't used those bullets to kill a different enemy, save that. But obviously you don't know that as the player until you reach this powerful enemy at the end. If you have wasted all your bullets, or you just don't have the gun, you're going to have to fight the enemy with your current weapon. Now if you still have the baseball bat, that is the weakest weapon in the game, so it's going to be quite a challenge. And each time that you fight one of these enemies, it's going to be quite an experience. Okay, the enemies are not pushovers. It's not just a case of you button bashing until you totally kill them. You need to use a lot of stealth, a lot of tactics in order to kill these enemies. Killing one enemy might be possible, but if you're surrounded by 2 or 3, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to survive. Okay, so it's going to have that core horror element to it, that you're one person against many of these maniacs, and it's going to have a certain realism to that. Okay, so you definitely don't want to get into conflict with too many enemies at the same time. So once you've killed this powerful enemy, you've got the key, you managed to rescue your girlfriend, and if you haven't taken care of all the other enemies, so if there are still enemies there, you have to obviously try and avoid them or kill them, and then you find your boat and escape the island. Okay, so this is the initial game loop. It's basically a playable part of your game. It's not necessarily a completed game. There may be still loads and loads of stuff that you can put in there. It's just enough for you to experience how the player might find your game, and it's just enough for you to actually prove that this is a feasible game idea. Now, who are you going to prove it to? Potential developers. Okay, so if you go on a Kickstarter, or maybe you go into some game developer, you might want to show them this initial game loop, and they might want to invest in your game, they might want to fund it, so that you can continue developing it and make it much, much bigger. It's potentially what most indie game developers and professional companies do to prove that their game actually works. So it has all the working mechanics at this point, it just needs further development. Okay, and that's what we're going to do in this section. So we're going to be getting all this to work. We're not going to be putting this character in there, this girlfriend character. I'm just going to be basically sorting it out so you get up to this room. As soon as you find the room with the key, that's enough for our game loop. Okay, if you want to continue to develop that further, obviously you've got the tools and the necessary skills. I'm going to show you how you can create your own game characters anyway, so you can continue to do that. So yeah, that's what we're going to work on in this section.